George Lolov is a freelance filmmaker from London who currently works as a filmmaker and VFX artist with the goal of becoming a director. Born and raised in Bulgaria, he moved to London to attend university and pursue his passion for film. He explored various roles and projects before focusing on screenwriting in his final year to hone his storytelling skills in preparation for a future in directing. Although a global pandemic affected his last year, he had a great start to his career as a freelance filmmaker and VFX artist. Along with working on projects for other businesses, he has been doing freelance work on Fiverr using his VFX skills that he acquired outside of school. As we delve more into his Fiverr experience, George provides some helpful tips on what to focus on to stand out. Then we talk about George's preferences for particular films, TV shows, directors, and VFX. Listen to this episode to gain helpful advice for aspiring freelancers, learn more about visual special effects that you can create on your own, and discover more about the state of the Bulgarian film industry. Enjoy! Hello, George. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
George, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm George Lolov. I am an aspiring film director. I also shoot, edit, and screenwrite myself. I'm also a VFX artist and work with CG, and that's it.
Quite multi-talented.
I wouldn't say so, but just I have a lot of interest.
But your goal is to become director, right?
Yeah, my goal is directing, but I mean, there are different ways to get there, but for me, the more you know in each section of filmmaking, the better you'll be when the time comes.
Yeah, to be able to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we talk a bit about your background? Can you tell us where you are from?
Yes. Well, my background, I was born and raised in Bulgaria in a small town, with 10,000 people. And from a really, really young age, I wanted to be a filmmaker, to be a film director, because we used to own, like Blockbuster in the US, video rentals. We used to own some stores for video rentals.
Oh, really?
Maybe
like your family?
Yeah. And from a young age, probably I was exposed to a lot of movies, a lot of cinema, and that's what probably started it for me. Probably as long as I can remember, I've always wanted that. And I'm originally from Bulgaria, where there is no industry. It's a small country. My ethnic background would be Greek, because I'm also Greek and Bulgarian. It's a long story in a way. And yeah, when I finished high school, I came to the UK to follow my dreams.
So were there any influential films when you were young that sparked your interest in film?
Yeah, I remember growing up with the original Star Wars trilogy. I think even my father is a big fan. Probably that's what got me into it. But yeah, that was a really influential movie for me. Because I remember when the prequel trilogy was coming out, I was too young, but I remember all the the video cassettes and the VHSs, and I was watching it, yeah. And probably Toy Story is the other one that's exactly came out when I was still a kid. It's another one that I really liked.
Does your family still own the store?
No, we closed the store when torrents became really popular.
I see. It reminds me, I think, of the story of Blockbuster. I believe there is maybe one last remaining in the US.
Yeah, I think one last store remains in the US. But there used to be a corporation worldwide.
Yeah, with plenty of stores across the whole. Yeah. So why did you decide to go to London particularly?
Because I think in Europe, the country where the film industry is the most connections with Hollywood movies, and the best movies in Europe are made in the UK, that I believe. And that's why I decided to go to UK and then to London specifically, because it's the biggest city and I think the most opportunities you can find there.
Yeah. And when it comes to cinema in Bulgaria, any well-known films or artists, actors?
I think for the Western world, there are probably non-well-known movies. Until recently, there was no Bulgarian that has ever been nominated for the Academy Awards. And now, Maria Bakalova, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's an actress. 2 years ago, she was the first Bulgarian nominated for an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah, 2 years
Was
ago.
it in some American film or?
Yeah, it was in Borat 2.
I think I know. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
Borat. It's a great film.
yeah,
Funny.
it's a good comedy.
So you went to university in London. So what was the reason for you picking the one that you went to?
The reason was that I was doing research for like good universities in the UK and in London. And I was wondering like until the last minute about University of Westminster, I think, Middlesex and Kingston, as I could have gone on three of them. But actually at the end I ended up with Middlesex because I knew someone who was in there. He was like a third year. And I spoke with him and I heard that they have like the best equipment and the greatest like technology and the buildings, the campuses, everything was better there. And that's why I decided to go with Middlesex.
Was he also studying film?
Yeah, he was studying film.
And when you started at university, did you already want to become a director?
Yeah. For me, it was, I know that most people who go to university usually want to be a director because it's one of the more popular jobs on a film set that most people would know. But I was like watching a lot of YouTube and a lot of like Skillshare and stuff like that before I even got to university. So I would say that I was already in, like, learned a lot about it before even like going to university.
So did you then find it easier to learn stuff at uni?
Yeah, I think especially first year, I would say everything that you learn in first year, you can learn online. I think maybe second year, when you have like hands-on experience, that's probably the one that was more worth it for me. And third year was the year that I learned the most in uni.
So how did you find studying at uni itself? How did you enjoy the coursework, the projects, and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it has pros and cons. I think it's good to go to uni. And the reason why I would recommend it is to meet people. And that would be like probably the number one reason. And if not the only, it's going to be one of two. Because going to uni is becoming, in these days, I think less and less needed and valuable because you can learn almost everything online or through courses. But if you're like me or from some place where there is no industry going on, it's your excuse to move to the other country and make connections and meet new people. I think going to uni was a good experience.
Yeah. What about some projects you worked on?
I worked on a couple projects with friends of mine. Yeah, we worked on short films with them. And then my third year, luckily, I chose to do screenwriting as my like final project because most of the people who chose short films didn't finish them because of COVID.
Was it in second or third year?
Which one?
The one you chose screenwriting.
Screenwriting was third year.
Yes, so that your film didn't get cancelled.
Yeah. Because I don't know who actually was able to finish his film, but I think it was 2 or 3 projects were finished.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't you choose directing?
Well, I was going to choose directing, but the problem was that there were not enough people who wanted to produce. So I switched to screenwriting. But as I said, then COVID and the pandemic came, and a lot of people didn't finish their projects. So it was kind of fortunate.
So did you then find it useful or helpful, or did you enjoy screenwriting?
Yeah, I think that's when I learned the most in university. I think it was third year screenwriting course when I had like personal tutor who helped me, who read my every draft, told me what I did wrong and what I did right. This is for me the most valuable experience from film school.
Really?
Yeah, because I think being able to recognize a good screenplay is vital for directing. And that's why I think third year screenwriting course was the most valuable experience for me personally.
And what was your final project during the COVID? Did you basically just write a script?
Yeah, I wrote like 50-page script inspired by the events of the killing of a Bulgarian journalist in London during the Soviet Union era.
Oh, so based on true story.
It was inspired by true story because we couldn't like base it on true story, so it was inspired by this event, but The plot was different, just it was inspired by that singular event.
So how was the result in the end?
Yeah, I think quite good. I think I liked it. I mean, it obviously can be done better, but yeah, I think it's good, but it was not achievable at the moment for like creating it into a movie because it was based in the 70s in London, so that would be cheap for making like a short film out of it. Good experience overall.
Yeah, yeah. Is there some final advice you want to share when it comes to university, to students or to aspiring students?
Yeah, I would say do your research about good universities, go there, and when you get there, your most important thing would be to get in contact with your classmates and make connections, maybe even with your lecturers. But that's like the most important thing in the industry is to make connections because it's gonna open many doors when you leave film school.
Yeah. So how did you start planning your way into industry?
The problem was that when I graduated, it was during the pandemic. So there was not a lot of job opportunities exactly at that time. And I had to start doing some freelance stuff. And luckily, a few months like before that, during the third year when I was writing my screenplay, on the side I've been doing 3D and doing VFX. And I got to a point where I was good enough like for making stuff for people. So I set up a Fiverr account. And that is like thanks to CGI and VFX. After university, I started making something like receiving orders from people. And that was my first job out of university.
Oh, nice. So can you share some resources where you were learning CG? Was it YouTube?
Yeah, of course, it was YouTube channels. I think one of them was called Default Cube. There was one, Ducky, something, I don't remember the whole name. And the most important one was, he's called Ian Hubert. He's master at Blender. And like in Blender, he's really master. And in his Patreon, if someone is interested, they can find a lot of videos that can teach you.
Yeah, like tutorials, right?
Yeah, like that's university level of teaching. He's really good.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you started on Fiverr, I wonder how hard was it for you basically to stand out from there? Because I can imagine there must be plenty of people offering such services. So how did you find it?
Well, at first, like all the test, like renders that I've done in animations, I've compiled into like a portfolio for Fiverr and I created account. But at first, of course, there were no orders coming through. You can read it and maybe your portfolio, maybe like your CV or show reel, how it's called, maybe make it more engaging. And also on Fiverr, you can pay for an ad. Your profile gets recommended. And that's, I think, how it happened. Because the first month, probably I had 0 orders. And then after the first one that came through, and when you finish an order, also like the client can give you a review. You can give like out of 5 stars review, and then you can write something. So it's really important to have good communication and to do the job that they want you to do. Because at the end, if they give you a good review, I think it boosts your profile. Because every time that I had a new client coming in, my profile would get recommended to more people. Because the first time that I got a client, more and more people started coming in. And it was to a point where I couldn't get all the projects like that they wanted me to do.
Really? So you were so busy?
Yeah, it depends on the time. But for example, do you know, like last year when there was NFT thing that it was going everywhere? Yeah. During that time, a lot of people wanted me to create commercials for the NFTs and like ads. And that was like the busiest time that I've had.
Oh, I see. So can you say what kind of clients did you get? Is it like people from all around the world, individuals or companies?
Most of the time, it was individuals. Sometimes they might be in a company, but they contact me through personal profiles. And they are usually all around the world. I've got clients from India, from France, from China, from the United States, from the UK, like everywhere.
And can you share some details about some interesting or exciting or challenging projects that you did?
Yeah, I've had a lot of projects because it depends on what the client needs. So there was one time that you wanted a very specific kind of tree that breathes out like stars. And it was quite the journey to get to the final result. It was a lot of drafts.
A lot of back and forth.
Yeah. a lot of back and forth to get to the final look that he was happy with.
And to get an idea, how long do you spend on such a project?
Well, for this one, I think I spent probably like 5 days doing it or something like that. Usually I would say like 3 days, 2 days. It depends on what they want. But I've had like 5, 6 days of work when we do like a couple of drafts, and because it's important to get what the client wants at the end.
Yeah. And obviously you don't have to say specifics, but can you say how is it with money? If it's like you do a few projects per month and it's enough to live and save some, or you need to work a lot, or what is it like?
The most important thing is to get projects, to get clients. That is the most difficult thing. If you get clients, it's actually really good with money wise, because you can charge for what you do. And after you've done it probably like 50 times, it's easy for you to do it, because sometimes they would want me to create something similar to what I've already created that they can see in my profile. So for me, I can do that in a couple of hours or in one day, and they can pay me like, I don't know, it depends on what their budget is, but sometimes they've paid like for one single 20-second video or something like that, they've paid like $600 because everything is in dollars. So if you get like a couple of projects per month, you can live off of that. But if you get a lot of projects, you can live off of that and save money, and it's cool. But again, it's difficult to have clients constantly coming. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, but I guess can be a good advantage for someone who wants to, let's say, work from anywhere around the world, right? Because you just need your laptop and time.
You need like a powerful computer in order to do it, because you can render like for days.
Yeah, so I guess you don't do it on laptop.
Yeah, I do it on a laptop, but I've had like times where I was limited because then I had to like pay to render farm to do it online. Otherwise, I would have been able to do it.
And do you still do the work on Fiverr?
Yeah, I do it. I still do it, but I think now I'm not as busy as I used to be last year when the NFT like exploded. But yeah, I still do it. Whenever I get new orders, I'll always do it.
And is it your main income stream now, or do you do something else as well?
Yeah, I would say that's because I was doing other things since graduating. I was not only doing Fiverr, there was time where I was doing like videography and editing for a company in London. I was doing both at one point, but then we didn't really
Did it work out?
Yeah, with the company. And I stopped doing this and I continued doing Fiverr. The problem with doing Fiverr work, always being your main thing, is that you get disconnected from the people around you, because you work from home and you only like work for clients that are on the other side of the world, so you don't have any connections with them. In time, you can find yourself, if you don't get enough, for example, clients and orders on Fiverr, and you can find yourself that you don't have any connections to go and work in the film industry or to go and work with local people, because if you're only in Fiverr, you lose connection to the world.
Yeah, I can imagine this. As we discussed, you can do it from anywhere, but at the same time, it has its cons as well.
Yeah.
And as you said, you work for that company. Were you doing like promotional videos or marketing, or what kind of work did you do?
We were doing like some events, high-end events. We were going to like Rolls-Royce events and stuff like that. Highlight like videography on the event, and then we were doing a highlight edit of the event and then sending it to the company. That was what we were doing.
That sounds cool. I actually checked your portfolio and I saw that you are making a video for Rolls-Royce. I was wondering how come? I mean, working for such a company, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I worked with this person, like this company, and they're in London and they only do for like high-end clients.
So what was it like? Did you find it in any way different than filming, I don't know, let's say for some regular client, if it was for such a prestigious brand?
No, I think it's basically you follow, because for event videography, there are specific stuff that you need to get. You need to get like speeches and stuff like that. You need to get the product because it was a product that they were launching. So you need to get shots of the product, the people enjoying it. Like mostly you do a shot list with what you need to get for the client, like what they want to have for sure. And you spend the night there, you make sure you get the most important shots that you've written down. And then you on the side that you find interesting angles and stuff like that. And then you edit, and that you usually edit like to some beat or something.
And what do you enjoy more? Doing CG like on Fiverr or more making videos like you did for that company?
I don't know, like I wouldn't say I enjoy more one than the other. For me, it's like I love changing stuff because sometimes I can get sick of making VFX and making CG and like living in Blender and have to like go outside and film and then edit. But if I only film, I just want to get back to VFX where I can just do everything from my computer. For me, I love changing. I love doing everything. That's why I'm interested in filming as well as editing as well as VFX. That's why I think directing combines all of them. I think you can get your opinion and also your ideas in every single one and work with.
And as you mentioned that you use Blender, is that the main software you use for VFX?
Yeah, I use Blender and After Effects. I used to use Cinema 4D, but I found that first of all, it's paid, which is the biggest like minus for someone starting out. And Blender is, I think, the biggest and the best community in the internet. That it's a free software, and there are a lot of people who do free tutorials on YouTube, and then you can pay for tutorials. And I think it's the best for independent.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's the free one because I think I heard that it's free. So it sounds like a good resource for people who want to maybe start. How hard is it to start with such software?
Depends if you've ever like done anything or because if you know After Effects, I mean it's completely different because After Effects is layer based and Blender is node based, but I think everyone can learn it. Depends on if you have the passion to do it. I wouldn't say it's that difficult to learn.
And can you try to explain for someone who's never heard that? What does it mean, layer-based and node-based?
Yeah, After Effects, like Photoshop, is layer-based systems. That means that every layer that you put stacks on top of the previous one. Get what I mean? And Blender is node-based. So Blender, you create nodes which do specific thing, and then you connect the nodes with the viewer or with the object, and this changes the way that the object or the viewer is seen. So it's not stacking on top of each other, but like a web. You have a lot of properties that are connected to other properties that are connected to your object, which is connected to the shader, which is connected to your viewer or something like that.
So what are some advantages and disadvantages of those?
Advantages of layer-based systems is that they are easier to use, user-friendly, but the disadvantages is that they are not as customizable. And the other way around for node-based. Node-based systems are a lot more customizable, but they are not that user-friendly. But they still can be learned.
So what are the specific scenarios? Why would you use the one over the other?
Well, first of all, it depends on the software that you use. It depends. For example, Blender is node-based, so there is no way to use it as a layer-based system. But for more complex and like advanced scenes and compositing scenes, let's imagine on a really advanced 3D scene that you have to use, it's better to use a node-based system because if you need to change something, you can go to the specific part and you can change the specific thing and it will update. While in layer-based systems, it's not exactly like that. For example, in After Effects, you have to get the effect and pre-compose and then do another thing and pre-compose and they stack on top of each other. It's just not as easier to use when you have like a lot going on in the scene.
Yeah. And After Effects, it's from Adobe, right?
Yeah. After Effects from Adobe is also like 2.5D or something. It's not a full 3D software, but it can import 3D objects. It has 3D lights, kinda, and it's really good for compositing. I usually use it for maybe more 2D effects or motion graphics or something like that. And usually what I do, if I have to composite live action, I would do like all the 3D stuff in Blender and maybe compose the shot in After Effects. Yes, so that's why I use both of them.
Just a quick one. If you enjoy our podcast, please give us a review on your favorite podcast app, subscribe or share it with your friends. For more information, visit the show notes. Thank you and back to the show. And to get an idea, can you share some examples of work that you did as VFX, such as if you created some creatures or you did some background or explosions? Can you say what did you do actually?
Yeah, for the examples, most of them are like on my website or on Instagram. I usually share what I do. And most of the time, I don't model myself. If it's something simple, I can model it quickly. But I would usually buy CG models or just get free ones. It depends on what is needed. That depends on the scene. Like sometimes for one of the last ones was someone that I composed a shot with like a person who was shot live action on a green screen.
So did you actually shoot that person?
Yeah, I shot the part with the person dressed with the clothes that were needed on a green screen, and then I created this wasteland with kind of reactors from the ground. It's like early morning and it's foggy, and camera goes straight totally in, and then it turns left and you see the guy working on one of the reactors. And it's on my Instagram. It can be seen there.
What are you called on Instagram? Just your name?
Yeah, George Lolov _.
And the website?
The website, that's georgelolov.com, I think.
Mhm.
But I need to share the link.
I will add it to the show notes. So, as you said, you did a green screen. Do you have green screen or did you rent it somewhere?
Yeah, I have green screen. I bought green screen, and yeah, I have the one that folds, but the biggest one that I could find. It's like 2 meters, I think. It's like blue screen on one side, green screen on the other.
So, in what scenarios would you use green or blue?
Well, it depends. I think it depends on what like clothes people are wearing. The person has to be dressed with green. I'm not gonna show it on the green screen. Same for blue screen, I think. That's mainly why I would switch from green to blue or from blue to green.
And have you got some kind of studio at home or you just set it up somewhere where it's...
No, I set it. I set it up, shoot, and then bring it back.
And weren't you then interested in becoming a VFX artist?
Yeah, I'm interested in following this. I don't know, probably as a career now, because like I know that most of directors like do stuff when they're not 25. So yeah, I am open to work as a VFX artist. I'm open to work as videographer, editor. I do actually look for if I have some opportunities because there's people that I've met. For example, if I can edit a video for them or shoot something, I would always do that or make VFX. I've made VFX for Joanna for a video that she's making.
One of our guests.
Yeah.
What did you do actually? Can you tell us more about the project?
Yeah, she was working for an artist called Makama, I think. She needed to do VFX on the video because she wanted it to look like some kind of a security camera or like a drone is watching over. And yeah, I was doing some overlay work, some of the camera, of the security camera look over him. And then I also did one tracking effect on his eye for like something that comes up.
If you imagine, I've never heard that. What is it, overlay work and tracking effect?
Yeah, overlay is like when you overlay something on top of the footage. For example, if something has to look like it was shot through a security camera, if you shoot it with a normal camera, you can overlay like effects on top of the footage that would make it look like a security camera. For example, to make the quality worse, make like a green tint or something, or blue tint or something like that. And tracking shot is track the eye of the character as he needed to move and then select something from the menu that appeared in front of his face. So you pick a tracker from, for example, After Effects, and you place it where you want it, the place you want to track. And then the computer goes frame by frame and tracks the position and rotation and the scale of subject, of the object. Yeah, and then it gives you like the perfect tracking data for it. So that it moves with the person. And then on top of that, you can like link some, I don't know, like your effects that you want to add. And then they will go with the character's head.
So was it a music video then?
Yeah, it was a music video.
Oh, I see. So how did Joanna reach out to you? Does she know that you do VFX?
Yeah, I think she knows to follow each other on Instagram. She's probably seen like my work and she reached out and I was happy with helping her and doing more work and yeah.
And does it help you or how much does it help you, to get a job or spread the word when it comes to social media? Like now you said she reached out thanks to Instagram. Does it happen more often or it's rather rare?
I think, yeah, when you upload and when you show your work, it happens more often because otherwise no one will reach out. I've had like one woman, I forgot her name. She's like a book author and she's from the US and she reached out to me because she also saw my Instagram and wanted me to do VFX for trailers that she's doing for her upcoming books, which are like fantasy. So I think
So
uploading your work will have, and social media is important nowadays because it will connect you to people and give you more opportunities to work.
yeah, so did she just find you randomly?
Yeah, she just saw my work uploaded on Instagram randomly because we don't know each other.
Yeah, that's cool. And is it specifically on Instagram or do you even use, I don't know, YouTube or TikTok or something else?
Well, I think probably people are gonna find you if you use other ones as well, but I only upload my stuff to my own Instagram, so it's probably a good idea to start uploading on other social medias as well. But for now, I've always just uploaded on Instagram.
Hmm. But I can imagine that there must be also quite big competition, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like there are a lot of people in social media. You can find probably like the best people who can do VFX work in there. But I think there are clients for everyone because the best people are gonna require much higher budgets to work with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are some films with beautiful effects that you enjoyed or that are your favorite because of effects?
I think because of the fact the one that I watched a few months ago, like 6 months ago, the new Avatar, I think it's just on another level. Still, I think it's impossible to do nowadays on like your own computer. It was masterfully done, the effect on this thing.
Yeah, I can only agree. And what about some film that was the opposite? Something that
With
you
bad
didn't.
effects.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is like one really famous shot in the Black Widow movie.
I don't know. What is it?
It's why one's famous for being bad. I think at the end of the movie, I don't really remember. There is one explosion, and it looks like really off. It can be seen that it's just added on top, and I think the scaling was problematic. That's what I can remember right now as a bad example. But it was probably not the artist's fault. They were probably forced to hurry. They didn't have enough time.
I will need to have a look. I'm curious. I don't remember. I didn't notice when I was watching that. So when you watch in a cinema, do you think about the effects? Doesn't it ruin your experience there?
Well, I think a lot about not only the effects, I think about the lighting and the cinematography as well. But I don't know, it's how I've watched movies since like a long time. I think that's why I love to watch films a couple times. Maybe the first time I would try not to notice like the way that the scene was blocked by the director or the cinematography or the lighting or the VFX or the sound. I would try to enjoy the story first time.
Mhm.
The next times I would usually pick up shots and something that's made like a big impression on me, whether it be VFX, cinematography, acting work, or something else.
Is there any film or TV series that comes to your mind that stuck with you because of the reasons you mentioned?
Yeah, for cinematography specifically, now that we've talked about this, I remember The Batman. I don't know if you've watched it by Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves is the director.
The one with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, it was shot by Greg Fraser, who is
Oh.
probably like the next greatest DOP ever. This
Next,
film,
Roger Deakins.
yeah, the next Roger Deakins, he's probably
Really?
Greg. Yeah, because he's like a lot younger than Roger Deakins, and lately he's been doing like amazing work with the visuals. And the Batman was, I really don't know how it was not nominated for an Academy Award.
Mm. What are some other films that he did as DOP?
Well, Dune, for example. This year, Dune 2 is coming out. He's also DOP. And then The Creator, that's the movie that's coming out in September this year, which is like an original story. And again, it's shot by Greg Fraser. He's,
Yeah. And since you also enjoy directing, who is your favorite director?
oh, that's like a tough question. I love a lot of directors.
You can pick a few and tell us
Uh,
why.
Maybe my most favorite like director would be probably Steven Spielberg. I think because he always directs in such a way that you always would recognize his movies. He has amazing, like long shot blocking. The scenes that he makes, you don't notice how it's one shot, and then every couple of seconds, the characters change positions and the camera changes position, and it becomes like a totally different shot. Just an example of one of his amazing talents. And he's also like masterful at every single genre that he does. He's made like great fantasy movies, he's made sci-fi, he's made historical dramas, and for me, he is probably the greatest living director now. Yeah, otherwise, I would say I really like Christopher Nolan. He's a really good director, made amazing movies. He's a great screenwriter as well. I like Peter Jackson as well. For me, the greatest, probably the best movie trilogy that has ever been made is The Lord of the Rings. He was writing the screenplays and directed the three films, and he did a great work.
And some specific films from Spielberg?
Specific films, I don't like. For me, Raiders of the Lost Ark is an amazing movie, the first Indiana Jones. It's like an iconic film. Other movies, E.T., for example. It recently had like a, I don't know, 40-year anniversary last year. Went to watch it in the cinemas. It was amazing.
Oh, must have been nostalgic.
Yeah. I don't know, like he's made a lot of iconic films like Jurassic Park, for example. Schindler's List is one of his best films, for sure. Saving Private Ryan, just a few that.
I can only agree. And your favorite film from Nolan?
My favorite film that made by Nolan is Memento.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Have you watched it?
I've seen it a long time ago, and I remember the storyline is a bit interesting.
Yeah. All of his movies are great, but for me, Memento is the one that showed me like why he stuck out from the crowd and why he's the person that he is now. He's just great storyteller.
Yeah, that is true. So what are your plans for the future? What do you want to focus on?
I want to focus on maybe connecting with more people and not only doing CG stuff, doing stuff in film as well, like shooting, editing, and doing VFX work as well. I want to get probably more connections, connected even more people. And yeah, I'm also writing screenplays, planning to shoot my short film, like a short film to have planned for like probably 2 years now, and I've never shot. And yeah, go on from there, make new short.
So if you made a short, would you then plan to send it to festivals?
Yeah, when I make the short that I wrote, I want to make it how it should be done, not like amateurish. I want to make it with the real crew, with the real actors, make it how it should be done. Then I plan to, of course, send it to festivals and try to get some. I mean, short films don't get distributed like features, but some kind of distribution. I don't know. Yeah. So for me, that are my plans. I plan to make short films.
So if someone wanted to, let's say, follow the path as you just mentioned, are you planning to do crowdfunding and work with friends or with your connections, or what's your plan if you imagine someone who doesn't have any resources and would want to do the similar strategy?
Yeah, I think crowdfunding your film is one way to do it. That's why I said it's important to get good connections in film school, because a lot of the people from there, when you finish, everyone's going to have a different path that he's going to take, or she. And in a few years' time, you can have a lot of people who have already connections with other people who are really talented and good at their work. And you have ways to contact them and maybe work for free, maybe work for like lower than what they would usually charge, which is going to help you with your crowdfund and your budget overall.
Yeah. And would you do that in Bulgaria or in London?
Well, I think I would get people from London and probably fly them out to Bulgaria to shoot, because I think shooting in Bulgaria would be 3 times as cheap. For example, in London, I think shooting everywhere, you need to pay someone to shoot. While here, it's not like that. And I have a lot more people that I know here where I can shoot for free. And even if it's not for free, it's going to be more than double the amount, like lower.
And I guess that would be probably also easier when it comes to all kinds of permissions and
Yeah.
dealing with all the stuff that is behind the filming.
Yeah. I think for now, I would say I would prefer to shoot here, because maybe if you get proper budgeting and you get a proper producing company behind your back, then you can shoot in the UK as well, because they have a lot better studios and stuff like that. But I would say that this is far away from me for now. And yeah, here would be much cheaper.
Yeah. And if you worked or if you wanted to establish yourself as either a director or videographer in Bulgaria, would you still be able to find enough of work there? Or, I'm
Yeah.
trying to imagine if there is like not that much work, but already enough people working in the industry, or there isn't really enough work to try to establish yourself there.
Yeah, for here, I think, first of all, most likely I will never like work on films, because there are literally like probably 5 films or 3 films made every year in Bulgaria. Like
Really? That's not that many.
the highest budgeted films in Bulgaria are probably like independent films in the UK. So I think if you want to find work working in TV, you can find work. I think in Bulgaria, you can work for like big TV studios and you work on their like shows and stuff like that. But if you want to work in film, it's not gonna happen because there is no movies being made here. The Hollywood movies that they come here, shoot for cheap and then get out.
That's what I was going to ask, if any Hollywood productions go there to film, either to film that they're actually in Bulgaria and the film takes place there, or to film there because it's cheaper and then say that it was filmed in a different location.
Yeah, most of the time I think they don't mention that it's in Bulgaria. And even like there was last year a really good horror film. It is based in the US, like the story takes place in the US, but it was filmed in Bulgaria, in the studio in Bulgaria. There is like one big studio in Bulgaria which is close to the capital. They shot there. Made it look like it's the US, but they came just because it was cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And they made it look like it's the US. And a lot of other like productions, there have been a lot of like big stars and action stars being here.
What's the horror?
Barbarian, it's called. It's on Disney Plus. I don't know if you've watched it, but it was
Probably not, but yeah, we'll have a look.
Yeah, watch it.
So you don't notice that it was filmed there, right?
No, I didn't notice. I was actually listening to a podcast with writer and director of the movie, and he said it that they went to Bulgaria to shoot, which was how I got to know it. Otherwise, it looks like it's in the US.
And is the capital Sofia?
Yeah.
I would expect that maybe some productions would film there, like a film that takes place in Europe and they are in Bulgaria or Sofia, but no films come to my mind that I would remember from there, honestly.
Do you know Wednesday, for example?
Yeah.
Wednesday, it became like a big hit on Netflix. And it was shot, the whole thing was shot in Romania, which is neighboring country of Bulgaria. You never know that it was shot in Romania.
Yeah, I think I may have heard that as well. Was it also because of the budget?
Yeah, most likely because it's cheap. Romania, Bulgaria, it's really cheap shit.
Or I think I also heard a lot of production filming in Budapest.
Yeah, also. But I don't know if it's as cheap as here. Probably not.
Oh, so you're saying it's there even cheaper?
I think here is cheaper. Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of movies shot in the UK, so much more than they're shot in Bulgaria. So for the big budgeted Hollywood movies, I don't think that it's a problem for them, but it's a good thing to think about and to see into the budgeting if it's gonna be cheaper to shoot in like Bulgaria and Romania, something like that.
So where are you actually based now? Are you based in London or in Bulgaria?
No, I'm based in London. I live in London. I'm there most of the time.
And are you planning to stay in London or to move somewhere else?
Yeah, for now, I'm planning to stay in London, and that's my plan for now. I go to Bulgaria like maybe once every like 2-3 months. I go for just a visit of my friends and relatives, and then I come back to London.
Does anyone from your family or friends or relatives work in the film industry?
No, actually, I was the first one that wanted to. And after me, actually, as I said, from a small age, me and my brother were really into films. He has always wanted to be an actor, so he came to London and he studied in drama school. He is an actor. He played in, do you know Atlanta? Do you know Atlanta?
The TV series
Yeah.
with Glover?
Yes. He played in a scene with Glover. He met him.
Really? How did he get there? That's cool.
So he was cast, yeah, and he played in another feature which is not out yet. So he's in the UK now. He's working as an actor.
Wow, that's cool. So was Atlanta filmed in London?
Yeah, it was filmed in London.
Big career ahead.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, George, is there something you would like to share or something that I forgot to ask you?
No, I can't remember something else that you haven't talked about.
So you got space to promote yourself. Where can people follow you?
People can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, I don't know. I'm not really active there, but I'm mostly active on Instagram, and they can see my website, which is linked in my Instagram as well as probably here somewhere.
So what services do you offer to people if you are not too busy?
Yeah, of course, I always am open to work. I offer like I direct, shoot, and edit. Also, I can do like VFX work for people. I've done a lot of music videos, so I'm open to working in music videos. I've done event videography as well as commercials, ads, or any VFX shot or scene that they need help with.
That sounds like multi-talented artist, but probably the best would be directing, I guess, if someone wanted to.
Yeah, of course.
And it reminds me when we discussed the short film that you would like to make. Would you want to direct it, or what role would you want to play?
Yeah, of course. Like if I don't have the budget, I'm gonna not only direct but do other stuff as well.
Mhm.
But if I have the budget that I want, because I wrote it, then I'm gonna be the director, and that's what I'm gonna do. Otherwise, if I'm like most of the time with my personal stuff and my passion projects, I would shoot, edit, do the VFX, and that's like most. I would do this stuff, and then only I would use someone for audio and for mixing, because I'm not really into that. But
Yeah, one-man show.
yeah,
And also you would be a runner.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think, Georgie, we discussed plenty of stuff. If there is anything from your side to add, I think we can slowly finish.
Yeah, I don't remember anything in particular like regarding my film passions.
Yeah, Georgie, I will stay in touch. So thank you for your time. It was great to catch up after a few years.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And yeah, wish you good luck in the meantime.
Please do, man.
Thank you for listening to Produced By. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app, leave a review, or send us your feedback. For more information about the host, links from the episode, and ways to connect with us, visit the show notes. If you know someone who would be an ideal guest for our podcast, please get in touch. Thank you and see you soon.